What is going on with everybody? It's your boy, Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the pink part, in the green dungeon, excuse me, giving it to you, real raw rugged. And I have somebody on the other line, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself, man. Who do we have?
What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here. Dead in Hip Hop. Yeah,
How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for the invite.
Of course, man. I'm sorry we had a lot of complications beforehand, man, but we're here today, man. We're here, man.
Absolutely.
So, what do you have planned this week, man? What do you have going
on? Dead in Hip Hop wise, or just in general?
Just life, man. Just
life shit. So I just did an interview yesterday with a really cool podcast called Musically Medicated, and I'm doing supposedly supposed to do another interview tomorrow with maybe I shouldn't promote it because I can't remember the name of the company, but it was like some metal radio station. Outside of that, man, I'm just trying to catch up on Game of Thrones so I can go ahead and check out this premiere because I'm behind.
I really wish I got into that show. I feel like I'm too behind to even start, but everybody talks about it. Is it really that good?
It's really that good, man. I started over from the very beginning because we're 8 seasons in, you know what I'm saying? And I have a problem with remembering who people are in Game of Thrones because everybody's, with the exception of like 3 people, everybody's white. Everybody's white with long hair and beards, and they all look alike to me. You know what I'm saying? So I get really, really confused. So I started the whole thing over, and just about 15 minutes ago, I finished up the last episode of the last season. So as soon as we get off, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this new episode.
How long did it take you to watch it from start to beginning?
Well, I work from home, so I have an advantage. So it only took me about a week and a half. 10 episodes per season. Each episode's like an hour. So, I mean, a normal person that has an actual 9 to 5 where they have to go to work and come home, I would imagine it would take you a good month and some change, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I mean, it sounds lame, dragons and knights and swords and shit, but it's really, really, really dope.
Yeah, I keep like when I thought it was like a white show, and I seen a lot of black people into it. I'm like, this is like a show that everybody liked, and I was like, this isn't good. But I guess I'm gonna check it out. It looks stupid. I was like, it's like old white people from the Viking days, like, oh, I'm gonna stab you in the back. Like, it just looks stupid. But I hear it sounds good. So one day this summer, I might just take everything off and just look at it because I keep hearing everything about it. This is the final season, right?
This is the final season. Yep.
And what is it like? Somebody gets something of the winter? Like what are they fighting for?
That would probably take me like 30 minutes to try to explain. I mean, trust me. I don't like medieval shit either. I don't like Lord of the Rings. I don't like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't like any of that shit. So I only started watching this because all of my friends were like, yo, just give it a shot. Check out one episode and I think you'll like it. So I just sat down one day, I watched one episode, and that was it. I was hooked. But I mean,
what's the episode you watched? Was it the first episode of the first season, or was it just a random episode?
No, I watched the very first episode of the first season. And when it ended, I was like, all right, let me see where this is going. And before I knew it, I was not leaving the couch. I was like, oh shit, next episode, bam, next episode, bam. But yeah, just give it a shot, man. You might like it, you might not. You might not. You never know.
I'm gonna check it out. What else are you watching on TV?
Honestly, that's really it. Well, actually, no. You know what? Somebody got me hooked. Have you ever heard of that show? This Is Us.
I heard of it, never watched it.
I hate myself for ever watching a single episode of this shit. It's so whack, but I can't help it. I watch every single week. It's a quintessential chick show, but there's something about it, man, that keeps me coming back. But other than that, I really don't watch a lot of TV. I just watch a lot of movies.
Have you ever checked out, I know you said you don't watch a lot of TV, but have you ever checked out Mr. Robot?
You know what? I have a good friend of mine that was telling me that I would love that show. And I watched maybe 3 episodes. And I gave up. It was like it wasn't sucking me in. I've been meaning to go back to it though.
You gotta let it build. You gotta let it build. Okay. You got to let it build. Because Joey's on that show, Joey Badass.
No, I didn't know that.
Joey, he won an Emmy for that like last year. Yeah, he's going crazy on the show too. He's like a main part of like the 2nd and 3rd season. So yeah.
Okay, so I'll go back to it. I'll go back to it. I mean, like I said, I got through like 3 episodes, and it just none of the characters were really interesting me like that. You know, Dennis Leary isn't really my thing, and the main guy, I was like, whatever. But yeah, I'll go back to it.
Like, have you ever seen a show where you felt that way and then you kept watching and it intrigued you like further and further in the season? Has that ever happened to you?
Where it starts off really slow. Yeah, The
Yeah.
Wire. I think The Wire started off hella slow.
Mm.
And once you got into the characters and the story, you know, now it's one of my all-time favorite television shows. Other than that, you know, I don't really watch, again, a whole lot of television. But if I do start watching something, it takes a lot for me to walk away from the show.
Yeah.
It has to be really bad for me to be like, all right, fuck it, I'm done. But yeah, the only show that I can think of where I've actually tried to get invested, and I've heard that it gets better as seasons go along, but I gave up, was True Blood. I made it through like a season and a half, and I was like, man, I'm out. I can't do it. It was like I felt like I was wasting my time.
I never. I had a whole bunch of family members that tried to put me on that show, but I was like, nah, I'm okay. But yeah, that was definitely like a big show that everybody used to love, but I never got into it, so I could definitely understand that. But Mr. Robot, you should definitely check that out. Like, just out of like, just I mean, of course, it's a really great TV show, but just the fact that I'm a rap fan and seeing Joey on there, he's like playing like this crazy character. It's crazy to see like somebody in the rap world on this big TV show that's winning like Emmys and stuff like that. So
okay,
it's definitely a show to peep out. But you say you're a movie person, so I would imagine you've seen Us.
Oh yeah. I've seen.
I haven't, so don't spoil it. I haven't.
Oh wow, man.
Hey, pause it because you was ready. You was ready to spoil it right there. Calm down. Don't do it yet, man. But was it a good movie though?
How have you avoided it this long?
I mean, okay, so everybody's gonna kill me. So I do a little podcast, and I'm kind of known as like the late bloomer. Like everybody was talking about Black Panther. Black Panther's so fire. I still haven't seen Black Panther. Like I'm. Hey, look, hey. I and it's not that I'm like super duper busy. It's just I haven't got around to it. It's just one of those things, man. But hey, man, you might have to revoke my black card for that one. But I just haven't seen it, man. I haven't. But this is what I've been told about Get Out / Us. I've seen Get Out.
Okay.
But somebody said Get Out, if they compared it to an album, they said Get Out is Good Kid, Mad City, and Us is more of a To Pimp a Butterfly. Mm-hmm. Is that a valid comparison?
Yeah, because I mean, I think that with Get Out, there was a whole lot of symbolism, but the symbolism was more obvious. With Us, I feel like you have to really look for shit. Like, I feel like it's good on a surface level too. Like, if you just watch it and you're like, okay, that was a cool movie, I enjoyed it. But I feel like once you start nitpicking and you start noticing the little subtle shit that Jordan Peele is dropping, it makes the movie 10 times better. But I still like Get Out better just because I can identify with it more. With Us, you know, it's just a really, really dope thinking man's horror movie.
So did you catch everything and Get Out the first watch?
No. With Get Out, I caught a lot of it, but some of the shit went over my head just because there was stuff he was throwing in there that you really have to be like a scholar to know, and I'm not that type of guy. So I caught most of the symbolism, but there were a couple things that just I totally missed. With Us, I missed most.
I think the one that got me in Get Out that I didn't catch until like the second watch, it was where the main actor he's in the chair and they're finna like brainwash him or whatever, and he's crying and he started picking the cotton out the chair. I didn't realize I was supposed to like. I didn't catch that. Did you catch that first watch?
And that was the cotton that ended up saving his life at the end.
Yeah. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because if you remember at the very end, when the white brother, not the brother, when he comes downstairs and he does the sound to make him go to sleep, and he thinks he's knocked out, but remember he had put the cotton in his ears.
Oh yeah, so he wouldn't hear the sound.
Yeah.
I didn't even. That's crazy.
So it's like that. It's like this whole idea of, you know, this stuff that the white people forced onto black folks. It actually ended up, you know, we used that for ourselves to protect. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that was such a deep ass like addition to the movie that a lot of people didn't really catch.
And I think the craziest thing about it, which I went in thinking Get Out was going to be terrible, because for years I was on like, not the bandwagon, I was like the leader of saying the Key and Peele show is one of the most unfunny shows I've ever watched in my life. So
I've never seen it.
You never seen it? Why not? Like, was it purposefully you didn't see it, or you just didn't care about it, or?
It just didn't seem like the only shows I find funny still Martin and the Jamie Foxx show, and it came occasionally the Wayans brothers. I don't find shit funny 9 times out of 10.
You're not a Chappelle Show fan?
I am, but I'm not going to jump to watch it. I definitely think it's funny, but I don't like own the DVDs or nothing like that. But when someone says like a newer show, I should preface it with like newer, like I'm just not gonna. I just don't typically find it humorous.
What type of humor are you into?
I don't even know anymore, man, because like I don't really watch comedies. And like, and typically when I do, I'm just sitting there like, that really wasn't funny though. That really wasn't funny.
Is this like your black metal side talking right now? You just like,
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I saw a movie recently called and don't forget your point. You were saying something about the Key and Peele show. But I watched a movie called Beach Bum recently.
Yeah, with Jack Gyllenhaal, right?
No, it's got what's his name?
It's got somebody. I know you're talking about.
It's got a gang of folks. It's got Snoop Dogg in it, Martin Lawrence in it.
Yeah.
It's got Matthew McConaughey is the main guy. And yo, I was one of 9 people when the movie started. When it ended, I was one of 5 people in the theater. And I was probably one of 2 people that were actually laughing out loud throughout the whole movie. The rest of the people were just like, what the fuck is this? I was hollering. So I guess I just like that kind of like weird, kind of off-center kind of humor. But no, go ahead.
No, keep going.
Well, I was just gonna say Martin Lawrence's part in that film was one of the funniest things I've seen all year, easily.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, but I do know who wrote it. And the guy who wrote it, I don't know if you like familiar with any of his works, but he wrote a lot of like kind of weird movies. Like he wrote this movie in the late 90s when he was like 17 years old called Kids.
Yep.
It's like a really big movie. You ever seen that movie before?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater when I was in high school.
Really? Okay, yeah. So I knew like him writing like a comedy movie. I already knew it wouldn't be like your stereotypical, oh, you're supposed to laugh at this. You know, so I would know it'd be like some off-kilter comedy or whatnot. So it's weird because I would imagine he has like probably like a little dark humor and things in there. So are you a fan of shows like, I don't know, The Office? Is that like your type of humor?
I've never seen that either.
Wow.
I've never seen it. Yeah, man. I've been meaning to, but the only comedies I feel like I would still watch are comedies that I grew up watching. Like anything after that, like I remember I lived with this guy and he was obsessed with Seinfeld. And he played it for me, and I was like, bruh, this is not funny. Like, nothing about it. He would be crying. I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing at? Like, what am I missing? Like, is this too, like, highbrow for me? Like, am I stupid? Like, what the fuck? But Martin Lawrence show, like, I'll fucking laugh all day at some stupid shit. You know, the episode where he loses his fucking CD player, one of the funniest TV shows of all time. But
it is.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's wrong with me, you know.
So I mean, it's crazy that you say this because you seem like a guy just watching the Dead End Hip Hop reviews. You're a funny person, you know. So I would imagine that you would be into all types of like crazy, weird, off-kilter comedy because you laugh at the things with Dead End Hip Hop. There are things that you probably shouldn't laugh at. Like somebody make a joke where it's like, oh, like it's kind of like on the edge, and you would laugh at it. So I would imagine that you would be into all the comedies of that sort. So it's kind of crazy to hear that you don't watch a lot of comedies like that.
There's probably plenty of comedies that I would think are funny, but I just don't know about them. Like maybe you know what? Like Community. Yeah, I watched a few seasons of that, and for the most part, I found that to be pretty funny. That kind of awkward humor. But I feel like when it's just like these super obvious jokes, I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, no, that shit is whack as fuck to me.
Is there anything the equivalent of like music that's like that, where not per se comedy music, but just anything where it's like, oh, this is obviously supposed to be going for this? Do you like your music to be more subtle, or do you not mind like more, I don't know, like obvious meanings? Like, let's say if somebody does like a conceptual album and the meaning may be too obvious for you, do you care about things like that, or do you want subtle meanings, or
Yeah, I'm definitely like that. I don't mind when things are very obvious. Um, I do tend to enjoy music more if it can make me feel something, or if I can kind of figure out what the idea of the album is without them beating me over the head with it. I feel like it's the difference between someone like Logic and then someone like Kendrick. Like
Mm,
Kendrick, I feel like you're gonna have to listen to this 3 or 4 times before you're like, oh, now I get what he's talking about. Okay, now I get what he's going
yeah.
for. Whereas Logic, and this is no disrespect to Logic, but with a Logic album, I feel like he's trying to go for that, and he never really hits it. It's like you get the idea on the first listen, you're like, all right, well, cool, I got that. No work had to be done. I'm gonna move on.
Well, it's crazy that you say that because I think y'all might have reviewed this. I'm not for sure, but I feel like you guys did. But I feel like this album could have been a classic, and the concept was pretty obvious. But I feel like the way that it could have been executed would have made a classic album. And it was that game album. I think it was called Jesus Piece, where he was saying that he wanted to be Christian, but he still wanted to be a gangster. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I think I reviewed that, if I'm not mistaken, because I think he had a weenie bar in there that you hated or you thought was really funny or something like that.
I don't remember. I know we reviewed it, but I haven't listened to it since the review, so I don't
Mm.
remember much about the album. But I don't even know if I remember it being a concept album. Did we?
It was based. The whole concept was basically him trying to like still like give his life to God, but still being stuck in the streets, and
Okay.
him like trying to balance like what does he want to do? Does he want to be a full on Christian, or does he want to be a full on gangster? And it was just like a balance in between the two. And I thought that was in concept. I think he could have did it a little better. I don't think that was bad or anything, but I don't mind obvious concepts. But I agree with you. That's why I like To Pimp a Butterfly, because I feel like when I listen to albums, there are very subtle things, or very even instrumentation. Like he may use a certain specific instrument to get across a message. Because if he used a guitar versus a saxophone, the message may sound different. So I think the way Kendrick definitely does things, I think he's very meticulous and strategic, and it's not over the top. You have to listen to it a couple times. So yeah, I would definitely agree with you. I think most people would that like to call themselves music listeners, not like a casual fan.
Yeah, I feel like
So
you get a lot more out of stuff when you have to work for it. If someone just tells you, "Hey, uh, I don't know, patriarchy's bad," and that's all they say, you're like, "All right, cool, I got it." There's not really any depth there. But if someone is giving you this whole roundabout story of, maybe relating certain things to why patriarchy is bad, then you might be like, okay, now I get it. And now it's going to last with me longer because I had to think about it. You don't really, when someone just hands you shit and you don't have to think about it, it's not going to stick with you. You're gonna walk away and you're probably gonna forget about it in an hour. But if you really had to work your brain out to really figure out what that message is, I feel like it's gonna stick. You know.
it's interesting you bring up patriarchy because I'm in a sociology class currently, and I think that's why I like the class so much, because it's a class where you have to, like, he basically won't tell you, hey, this is the right answer, this is the wrong answer. He'll present a whole bunch of different theories. He's like, what is right to you? And you write about it. So it's not like this is right, now you tell me why it's right. It's what do you think is right, and you tell me why it's right. And you can't be wrong or right on that. I just grade you on how you write the essay or whatnot. And I just think it's really interesting where I feel like music should, I don't know. I feel like if artists try to like embrace those type of sociological, psychological things, I don't know. I feel like when I interview people, I try to use those things, and I feel like artists could do it as well. I wish artists, I don't know. I wish like artists were more into like sociology and psychology and things like that. I don't know if there are any rappers that are into that, but I feel like their music would be interesting because the way they would present things and the way they would word things would resonate in people's brains differently. I don't know if there's any artists that that are into like very psychological and sociology things like that, but I don't know. Is
Oh
there artists
yeah.
like that?
Oh yeah. There's definitely a lot of artists that I think are like that. I think the first one that comes to mind is Open Mike Eagle. I feel like he's very much like that, where he just kind of presents these ideas and he wants you to think about them. Of course, he's gonna have them presented in a slightly biased way because that's just human nature. I think Billy Woods is like that. I think Chesky is like that. I think even if you have to dig a bit more for the ideas, but I think even someone like an LP or an Aesop Rock are like that. But I think that sometimes we don't put in enough work to try to figure out what those ideas are. And then you just have other artists that are just so lazy that they're just not really even presenting you with anything. So I do agree with you 100% that I wish artists were a lot more like that, because it seems like the ones that are the ones that are not rising to the top when it comes to mainstream appeal. But then again, maybe people just don't really want to think like that, and I get it. You know,
they don't.
Yeah,
I don't think people do.
Yeah, and that's
it's
okay, right?
It's much easier not to think, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so I understand why people don't.
Yeah, some people just want escapism, and I understand that. You know, FIFO says that a lot. You know, because especially when we're talking about certain artists like Rick Ross, where I don't really understand the appeal about, you know, things like talking about money and talking about boats and talking about cars. I just don't want to hear that. Yeah. But he always presents this really good idea of, you know, some people just want to escape and not have to worry about, okay, yeah, I'm broke. Yeah, next week I got to pay rent and I don't have it. Some people just want to pretend for the length of an album that's them. They're riding around in a yacht. They got tons of chicks running around. And, you know, I get it. I totally get it.
And not to get off of that, but kind of to take a step back to Kendrick, because I'm definitely going to forget to say it if I don't say it. I have to thank y'all for making me give Kendrick a chance, because I don't know what it was, but I remember a long time ago, World Star had posted something Kendrick did, and I thought it was the most god-awful thing I've ever heard in my life. And then they posted another video of him freestyling over somebody playing violins, and I was already biased. I was like, oh, let me listen to this trash. I was like hate watching at that point. I was like, oh, this is terrible. We can't even freestyle. So then I remember you guys had reviewed Section 80, and you guys were like just going crazy about it. I'm like, now if all four of them are saying this is good, this can't be that bad at least. And now fast forward to 2019, Kendrick will probably, I can see him being one of my favorite rappers of all time. So I have to thank y'all for making me give him a listen, because it probably would have been further down the line if I would ever give him a listen. So thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for that. Really you guys, like, not to, like I said, we're going to get back to that point about certain artists and things like that and escapism. But I just want to say, I think you guys definitely have given the YouTube a lot of great moments, man. I don't know if you guys ever acknowledge that. I feel like you guys never do. That'd be kind of like braggadocious, like, we got moments. And I understand why not. But I'm just saying, I'm telling y'all definitely have. And even inadvertently give good moments, because you guys were in like a YouTube war with probably my favorite YouTuber of all time. I don't know if you remember this.
Oh, was it Nick Bag? Is that who it is?
Nick Bag was legitimately like, he was one person I hated. I hated guts. And for whatever reason, I end up being #1 Nick Bag fan. And when you guys were going back at it, he made, I don't know if you remember this, he made like a video mocking you guys. He was like mimicking y'all. Yeah. I was like, yo, this is amazing. I don't know where he is now.
Hopefully I know, I missed that guy, man. He was a funny motherfucker, man.
Man, he had so much natural, just like charisma, and yeah, man, he was a crazy guy. But yeah, just stuff like that, and from reviews, from the classic Little Beat review where he was going crazy, like it's just a lot of good stuff. So from behalf of everybody that's probably subscribed to y'all, I have to thank y'all for, you know, blessing you two with good moments, man. And it's funny because speaking of beefs, I don't know if you remember this, but for whatever reason, a long time ago, to just give you a little backstory, like I said, I used KTT, and Lupe Fiasco dissed KTT one time. So apparently he uses KTT, but it was like more banter. So I was like, you know what, let me take it upon myself. I'm bored. Just going to write a diss song to Lupe. And it actually got really big. And I think, look. It was just like, why not? And it's still something I still find funny. So I remember one day, I didn't know what was going on, but I seen you diss KTT or something like that. So I was like, I'm going to write a Dead End Hip Hop diss. I don't know if you remember this, but it's out there somewhere on the internet.
I never heard. If I heard it, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think I remember. The only bar I remember off the top of my head, I think I said something like, I think I said, I'll kill you in your sleep. The last thing you'll hear is somebody laughing behind the cannon, like Modest Media. I remember that bar.
That's kind of dope, though.
I remember that bar right there. But that was fun stuff. So yeah, man, you guys are amazing. So yeah,
I don't remember that. That's funny, because I mean, I think I told you before that. Yeah, I did not rock with KTT.
Oh, no, KTT has a lot of weirdos on it for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I didn't know that Lupe didn't fuck with y'all neither, but I don't even remember what I said about KTT. I just know that it was y'all. There was that 4chan moo, whatever the fuck it is. I was just finding a lot of like really disrespectful shit on those websites, and I was just like, man, fuck these guys. And it wasn't you, but somebody else had reached out to me a long time ago about doing some kind of like Q&A thing on KTT. And I was like, fuck no. I was like, nah, fuck all y'all. Cause I thought it was a setup. I didn't know that there were different like little groups and shit. I just thought it was one website. There was like a webmaster and he would just let like mods just post whatever. And I was finding pictures of my at the time girlfriend on that website. They were trying to dox me and I was just like, fuck that website.
I'm not gonna lie. You sure that was KTT? I've never seen it on KTT. That's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
That's
positive. Because I remember I didn't know what it was, and it was all over. If you can believe it, it was all over the fact that I didn't like Yeezus. Motherfuckers were pissed, and I was like, "Y'all some corny motherfuckers, man." And like they had gone to my Facebook, and back then I would just accept whoever. Yeah. So they were like friend requesting me. I would accept them. They would go through like 10-year-old pictures and then just post like, oh, look at this guy. Look at this asshole. This is the guy that talks shit about Yeezus. And I'm like, y'all really on my dick like that? Like, y'all really sweating the fact that I don't like Yeezus that much to where you're like, that's whack.
So a long time ago, I used to get like celebrities and famous people to do like KTT Q&As, but I stopped it and I just started doing interviews because they would just ruin them. Like they'll get on like the person get on there like, hey, it's blah blah blah. Ask me anything. They'd be like, how big is your dick? Like, I'm like, come on, how many cocks have you slurped? I'm like, come on. Yeah. So that's why I would never ask anybody in the history to ever do a Q&A KTT or a KTT Q&A because it's too weird. So that's why I just made my own YouTube channel to do my own interviews because you definitely we get weird stuff on there, but like from like recent interactions, KTT they like Dead and Hip Hop from my understanding. Like maybe at that time when y'all slandered Yeezus, they weren't fans, but yeah, I think they definitely like y'all. But yeah, cool. How is it dealing with like criticism and like not criticism, but just like things of that sort, just like negativeness on the internet? Like how do you deal with it personally?
I had to get better. You know, I'm not gonna lie. For a very long time, I was real bad at it. You know, when we first started, that was our thing. When we first started, it was like, yo, if you say anything in the comment section, we're coming back at you. And we're going to dog you out. We're going to whatever. And of all people, I had to take, and it took me a long time to figure this out. I had to take note from my man Fantano, who never lets that shit bother him ever. He'll get annoyed every once in a while, but you'll never see him like really angrily going at people. So I was just like, man, look, this dude has 5 times more subscribers than us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he's cool, calm, and collected with all the bullshit that he gets. Like we get bullshit, that motherfucker gets some serious bullshit in his comment section. And he says nothing. So I've just had to just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay the fuck out the comment section. Or if I do peek in there, I'm gonna find like those 1 or 2 guys that are genuinely wanting to have a conversation, and I'm gonna holler at them. And if somebody else jumps in, oh, Myke, you're a faggot. Hey, Myke, your mom's a bitch. All right, cool. I'm going back to this guy that I was talking to a minute ago. I'm just gonna ignore you. That's just kind of the way you have to do shit now, you know. But like I said, it took me way too long to figure that shit out.
It's interesting because Fantano is a really cool guy. Like he's a guy that always helped me out from just didn't even have to. He's a really cool guy. So it's interesting because his comment section was one of like the first times where like I was just reading like a lot of crazy stuff because he asked me this video a long time ago when he had like this little meme channel where he wanted me to do a story time with like just make up like a random funny story and I like freestyle the story off the top of my head. And I'm from Florida, so I did this crazy over-exaggerated Florida accent throughout the video. And I'm reading the comments, and they're just going crazy. They're like, oh, he's speaking too much nigger. Like, English version. Like, it was a whole bunch of just, like, racist stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. So, y'all being black, I don't know how much of that have y'all ever got. Like, have you gotten a mass of that? Because I got crazy amounts of, like, that type of stuff. You've gotten that before?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it mostly on my personal channel, but I've definitely seen it on Dead and Hip Hop.
Mm.
You know, and the thing about it is, I mean, just in the scenes that I grew up in, and the people that I've known for 20 plus years, most of my this sounds so racist. I was just thinking in my head, this sounds so racist, but I was gonna say like most of my best friends are white. But it's legit. Like the people that I've known since high school, like most of them are white. So
Mm.
it was weird to start going into a YouTube section and seeing people being like, Mike Seatown hates white people, or Mike Seatown is racist as fuck. And I'm like, because I'm talking about black issues, that makes me racist? Because I'm actually saying like, yo, white supremacy is a real thing, even though fucking the dude sitting right next to me is white, the dude on my left is white, but I'm telling you guys still that white supremacy is a real thing and it's fucked up. Like that's crazy. But I get it a lot more, I think, on my own channel, just because I
Mm.
talk about other things that are more white centric. You know,
Mm.
since I'm talking about punk rock and I'm talking about metal and stuff,
Okay.
I'll definitely get the, what the fuck, a black guy talking about metal? What the fuck? Like niggers like metal? Like it's this weird thing where I'm sitting here like, yo, do you even know that you're being an asshole? Or do you just think that that's just like a normal thing to say? Like it's weird.
But a lot of white people, when they're like being racist, I think a lot of them don't even
Yeah.
know it. They're just being like ignorant. Like they might say something to be like, why are you black people complaining? You have it good. If anybody should be complaining, it should be the Native
Right.
Americans. Somebody legitimately told me that one time at school. So like when he said it, he's not. I don't even think he's a racist person. Like he was honestly just being like ignorant. He didn't know it, and I think that they don't know it because when they say these things, they say it around other white people that are likely minded. So they're like, oh, it must be right. All these other white people agree with me. And when they say it around black people and they get backlash, they're like, whoa, like what's going on? Like I have black friends too. And it's just crazy because I was texting. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Sean C.
Chauncey?
Sean C,
Oh,
the
Sean
music
C.
reviewer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sean C.
Mhm.
So I was texting him, and he just did a video. I don't know if you. I think he released like a couple hours ago. He just did a video where I don't know if you've seen this whole Fox News and Nipsey Hussle thing.
Mhm.
So he just did a video talking about that, and he was like, "Man, they're going crazy in the comments right now." And there's people just like going on him, like you're being a libtard, you're being liberal, and it's like YouTube is a weird place, man. That's the moral of the story. YouTube is a weird place, man.
It is. It is. And it's just getting worse. People are so obsessed with this idea that you guys are offended by everything. And it's like, but they'll say it right after they said some really offensive shit. They'll be like, yo, I can't stand faggots. What, you're mad? You guys are offended by everything. It's like, nah, fucking asshole. You just said something that was really fucked up. If you said, yo, I can't stand when people are too tall and I got really pissed off, all right, we can have a conversation about sensitivity. But if you're being a legit bigot, like, no, no. And they always confuse this whole freedom of speech with freedom of consequence shit. Like, I should be able to say whatever I want. You can. And I can
You
also
don't get hit. Yeah.
punch you in your fucking mouth. Like that's just the way that's the way life works.
So I want to touch on that because I hate it because I'm one of those people that looks at society and I'm like, wow, it's a lot of sensitive people. But I hate standing on that side because just like you said, I'm standing on the side with people who actually say crazy offensive things. And they're like, how you gonna mad at that? I have freedom of speech. And although I do think we live in a very sensitive, or just like a very I don't know, we live in like a very hypersensitive society, in my opinion. I think that doesn't mean that you should not take people's feelings in consideration because they're just being a dickhead. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to understand that what you say might offend somebody, and if it does, I feel like what we have lost in this generation is conversation. I feel like a lot of people go to name calling and oh, you're this, you're that, instead of hey, let's have a conversation on why I disagree with you. It's just you're a libtard. Oh, you're a homophobe. It's like let's have a conversation. And I don't know if you feel that way, but I feel like conversation is something that should be promoted more in society.
Yeah. Well, okay. So first off, I get really annoyed when someone says something fucked up and I tell them it's fucked up, and the first thing they say is, well, you're restricting my freedom of speech. So let me tell you, first off, freedom of speech is guaranteed by the government, not me. So you can talk to them about your freedom of speech. But if you're around me and you say something fucked up and you get knocked the fuck out, don't cry about free speech. I have no obligation to enforce your right to free speech. So that's the first issue. The second issue is, yeah, I do agree with you that we are in a hypersensitive society, but I think we have to really analyze why that is. You know, we have to talk about why are people getting to that breaking point. You know, like the whole conversation when it comes to, I mostly hear about this with trans issues, because it's not a new thing, but it's a new conversation. You know, there have been trans people for however many years, but it's just getting to a point now where we're having the conversations around why their rights need to be discussed. And people are always like, well, I can't say anything and da 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 da. Well, it's like, you can say stuff, but you can't expect every single person within a marginalized group to want to explain things to you. Like you probably understand this. How often do you get asked about black shit that seems very common sense? You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in the South. I came to Georgia when I was 13, and I would get asked the dumbest shit by ignorant hick white people. Why is your hair so curly? Why are the bottoms of your feet not dark like the rest of you? Do you burn when you go out in the sun? Shit like that, where that shit is racist, but I feel like it's not the kind of racist where you're supposed to get angry. Yeah. But when you hear that shit for 30 years, yeah, like at some point you have a breaking point where you're like, you know what? Get the fuck out of my face. I know you didn't mean to be disrespectful, but I don't have time to sit here and be the fucking the nigger teacher for you. Go find somebody else for that. I feel like we should be open to that, but we don't have to be.
Well, I feel like this is my problem with the whole thing. I feel like that the fact that we're in a sensitive culture, I feel like in general, I feel like it's a good thing, because now we're trying to understand people better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we're actually trying to be sympathetic. But I feel like for whatever reason, the political whole thing that we're in, it's like everything is super left or everything is super right. It seems like nobody's just moderately this. Like, I was looking at this show called 60 Days In, where it's basically pick like people go to jail for like 60 days and like random citizens. And they were doing like interviews with people like, hey, tell me about yourself. So like, oh, my name's Myke. I run a YouTube channel, this, you know, this and that. So this one chick, she was like, oh, my name's Rachel and I'm a right-wing conservative. And I'm like, why is that the second thing you say about yourself? Like if you meet a girl, you're like, hey, tell me about yourself. Oh, my name's Amy and I'm super conservative. It's like, why is that making up your identity? I feel like you should have more to offer. So I feel like the society we live in is like everything has to be super right or super left. And that's where all the conflict comes in between. And I feel like we will be better if we just realize we're humans. You know, we don't have to, like, we're aligning with these political parties as if they're like religions and we're just taking them to heart. Like, we don't know these politicians. They met us, probably call us niggers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why we're going so hard for these people. So it's just, I don't know. It's just weird to me that people just can't take a step out and just realize that we're all humans and we should discuss as humans and not discussing as Democrats or Republicans and things like that.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that a lot of the reason for that is, well, is two things. I think a lot of people have a persecution complex. You know, everyone seems to think that they're under attack. You know, during the Obama presidency, white people, especially rich white people, felt like they were under attack for a very long time. And now that the tides have completely shifted, they are proud as fuck about who they are and what they represent. When for, you know, 6, 7, 8 years, the overwhelming idea was what they represented was fucked up. And I think that it's also, you have people that are genuinely being persecuted, who genuinely feel attacked. You have people who have immigrants in their family that are seeing the things that are happening right now, and they're being like, well, fuck, you know, where does this put me? How do I fight against this? Because this literally affects me, my home, my life. So they identify with the left and they go hard for the left because they feel like they have to. With the right, I feel like they just think they have to. They think they're under attack. White people have been talking about this white genocide bullshit for fucking decades, and they're still stuck on it. And now they have a president who they think believes in that stupid shit. And now that's why when the first thing they say out of their mouth, that's why they say, "Oh, I'm Amy and I'm right-wing conservative," because they think they're fighting for something. They think they're fighting for something that's not actually there. It really just depends on who you ask, man. I mean, I definitely lean left very, very hard. But I try to at least listen to both sides. Now, if we're discussing alt-right conversations, all of y'all can eat 12 fiery dicks and choke on them. I'm not going to sit here and have that discussion with you because I just don't want to, and I don't have to. You can go find somebody else that's a lot more patient than me to discuss your alt-right ideals. But if we're talking about a conservative person that wants to talk about, this is why I'm right-wing, all right, yeah, we can talk.
See, that's what I'm into. Like, I'm into conversations. Like, I just interviewed this like conservative, like man on the street interviewer dude. And I really just did it to explain to him because I knew his audience would see it. And I just wanted them to understand why, what black people think. Because for whatever reason, Fox News loves to speak about black people issues and don't nobody be on their black. And it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, I seen this one episode where dude Tucker Carlson was talking about colorism. He was like, colorism, so it's a thing that they complain about. Really? Oh, it's crazy. And I'm like, that's an actual thing. So just to, I don't know, man. It's just crazy how ignorant people is. Man. Like, people are just like voluntarily ignorant. And it's like, do you know how stupid you sound? Just like you're saying, it's like, do you know you sound offensive and stupid? And they don't. So I don't know. Hopefully 5 years from now, it's probably not going to happen. But hopefully 5 years from now, we just, we're all together. We all love each other, man. That's what I wish we were at, man. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, I wish I could share that ideal. I see things getting much, much, much worse before they get any better.
Man. I mean, what do you think will make it better, though?
A completely outside force, something that's probably not going to happen, but an outside force that's going to force people to have to come together. And unfortunately, since humans hate humans, shit, if we had an actual alien invasion, maybe that would make people come together. But I don't see anything else because humans always have to have an enemy. And if they don't have a tangible enemy, they create one, so we hated Muslims for the longest time. And I mean, we still hate, when I say we, I'm not talking about me, of course, but Americans,
I get you.
Hate Muslims, and they still hate Muslims.
That sucks.
It does. It absolutely sucks. But the only way for, Muslims and unfortunately Mexicans and whoever else this piece of garbage president wants to put in the hot seat of who's today's enemy, it would have to be somebody else. Like, there has to be someone for us to hate that's going to knock the other person out for things to get better. But yeah.
What do you think we need martyrs? Because like, I feel like, the government definitely, like back in like COINTELPRO, they were pitting black people against each other or whatnot. Do you think somebody like Nipsey, for example, rest in peace to him, he died, and I see in LA they're doing like gang unities and things like that. Do you think stuff like that will bring people together if we had like certain martyrs to bring, I guess, communities together? You think that'll work?
I don't know. I think it's going to take more than Nipsey, unfortunately, because this is not the first senseless Black Death we've had, and it's probably not going to be the last. I don't know what is going to change that particular situation if we're talking about black bodies killing black bodies. I think that's a very convoluted conversation that I think it's going to be more than just martyrs. I think it's going to take people really stopping and realizing who the real enemy is. But I think it's also going to take the people in power realizing that there's actually a problem and actually working to fix it, as opposed to ignoring it or just thinking they're fixing it by throwing everybody in jail.
I don't think that the people in power will ever sit down and be like, we should help this, because never in human history have the people in power said, oh, black people are hurting each other, or black people are hurting in general. Let's genuinely go help them. Instead, we have things like Black Panthers, and they're like, oh, those niggers are educated. Let's shoot them down. Like, you know, so I don't think that would ever happen. We would somehow have to fix that on our own, because them helping us that's just like, I don't ever see that happening.
I agree with you, unfortunately. I would love to be wrong, but yeah, I'm with you. In order for us to change it ourselves, I think it's going to be very, very difficult, because this isn't, and people are going to say, oh, this is that quitter mentality, or this is that whatever, but we don't always have the resources that other groups have. You know, we can do so much, but at the same time, I do think that we have prominent figures that aren't doing enough to help these smaller communities. You know, you have people like Tyler Perry, you know, they're doing stuff. You know, you have people like Oprah who's doing stuff. But you mean to tell me all of these prominent Black millionaires that exist in the world, and Flint is still drinking dirty water? I know it's not their responsibility. It's not. It's the responsibility of the government to protect its people. But when they stop protecting its people, then it's our job to protect our people. And I feel like we're doing a shit job of that.
Well, since we both are music people, do you think that rap has some type of responsibility to be spreading messages of these type of sentiments?
Yes. And I know it I know it sounds fucked up, and I don't want to think that. I don't want to feel like rappers should feel some sort of obligation to their community, but I can't lie, I do. You know, I mean, I think that when I look at people like, now I'm not shitting on these guys, but I'll look at like groups like the Migos who are making a ton of money. But what are they turning around and doing for Atlanta? And maybe they are doing stuff and I just don't know it, but I haven't seen any of it. You know, I feel like, and I don't want to single out the Migos, there's plenty of groups out there that are making a shit ton of money, that are on the top of the charts, that are just raking in money. But when you talk to them, all they talk about is themselves or their clothes, you know, and it's just like, why? Like, if you came from the slums, like, get yourself comfortable and then maybe try to help some other people out the slums. You know, and I don't know. I feel like hip hop could do a better job, but they're just not.
Is it because that's what sells? Maybe they're on the type time like, hey, if that's not making me money, I can't rap about it. Like I can maybe do a couple songs, but like a full album of it, I can't do it. Is that the reason you think?
Well, you don't have to rap about it. I feel like you can rap about cars, clothes, hoes, whatever. Do you, but maybe open up some foundations. You know, like it's when you have a lot of money. I know people like to think that, oh, when you're Black, you're automatically at a disadvantage, which you are to a degree. But at the same time, if you have money, like, they're gonna take your money. So if you want to open up and start up a foundation, you can do that. Like, if you have the money, you can do that. But people just aren't. But you'll see them, they're driving around in these $1 million cars. Why? You don't need that. There's no reason for that. Or you're walking around with these chains. Look at my chains. My chains cost, you know, whatever $1 million. So what? Like, you're talking to people that don't know where the next meal is going to come from. But you're bragging about the fact that your chain costs more money than they'll make in 10 years. Like, there's nothing cool about that to me.
Well, I think people are, I mean, I don't know. Like, I grew up around a lot of Black people, and just that's something that young Black people do. It's like, I didn't come from anything. So like you come from nothing and you get everything. They don't have a lot of them don't have not the education, I don't want to say that, but they just don't have the knowledge to know that, hey, I probably should be trying to distribute this and do it other ways. Because a lot of these big rappers, they either dropped out of high school. When they graduated from high school, they didn't try to get any further education, or didn't pay attention to high school. So a lot of these people, they don't know any type of financial, because in high school, they don't teach you about finance. They teach you about math, but they don't teach you how to structure your finances. So a lot of these rappers, they don't know. So even though that we can be mad at them and saying they should be doing this, I don't even want to blame them because I honestly think a lot of them just don't know. And if they have somebody to sit them down and give them game, because a lot of their quote unquote OGs, they didn't know when they had the money. So they just regurgitating the bull to them too. So I just think that we need like OGs to like, we need people like Farrakhan to sit these rappers down and tell them the ways that they need to go, because a lot of them, honestly, I just don't think they know.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. And again, you know, I only mention Migos just because I see them everywhere because of where I live. They're like the most popular group in Atlanta. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm singling them out or I'm shitting on them personally. I don't know them personally, and I could be 100% incorrect. You know, they could be doing all kinds of shit, and I just don't know about it. So if that's the case, then cool, I'm wrong. If that's not the case, then yeah, I definitely agree with you that maybe a lot of these groups just need people to talk to them and be like, yo, you have all this money, but at the same time, you're not really doing anything that's going to benefit you or your community in the long run. You know, that's why it sucks that we lost someone like Nipsey. You know, like I feel like a lot of artists could have looked to what Nipsey was doing and said, damn, like you can still make your money, but at the same time, you can still make sure that your people are good, that their people are good, that your people's are good. But I don't really know. I mean, we have Killer Myke, but I don't really know a lot of other people that are actively trying to make sure that people are good financially, socially, economically. It just sucks, man. You know?
It does, man. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a really depressing topic right now.
Yeah.
We went from talking about like Game of Thrones to like Game of Niggas, and this shit is it's a sad ass game, man. It's a sad ass game.
Know. And I feel bad because like right after I said it, I was like, man, that sounds really shitty what you're saying about Migos, and I definitely don't want it to sound like that, you know.
No, I understand. No, I understand what you're saying. Like I'm from Florida and you're from Atlanta, so you would know better than me. But even if you were incorrect, you explained it, I think, in a way that people wouldn't be like, "Oh, he's bashing Amigos." Like you, I think you explained it good. But no, I don't even know where to go next from here. I think I just want to thank you for this conversation. And if there's anything else you want to say to the people, you know, let it be known.
Yeah, make sure if you're not already, make sure you're checking out Dead End Hip Hop. DeadEndHipHop.com. Make sure you're checking out our podcast. We have a slew of them. And if you're not, make sure you're checking out my channel for some weirdo black nerd shit, you know, talking about records and movies that you may not hear other black folks talking about. You know, we're trying to change this idea of black people being a monolith, you know. So yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on here, man.
Of course. Two more things that I just quickly thought about, because I know that you say that you don't watch sports, but if I'm not mistaken, didn't you say you sometimes watch MMA?
Yeah, I don't know why, dude.
Yeah, I was say why? Like out of all sports, why MMA?
I have no. Okay, you know what started? So I don't talk about this, and it's not a cool thing. You know, I know people like to talk about, oh, I used to fight. I was never a big fighter, but when I lived in Conyers and I was a nerd and I got picked on a lot, one of the things that got me out of that was hanging out with a gang. I was never in a gang, ever. But my mom was a school teacher. One of her students was in a gang. Me and him became cool. Once I became cool with him, people stopped fucking with me. I saw a lot of fights, participated in very few, but I saw a lot of fights. And I never liked it. I thought it was disgusting. I didn't like seeing people get beat up. But one day, maybe 10 years ago, I started watching some show it was like a reality show about MMA fighters. I forget what it was called, but it was all these MMA fighters in the same house, and you know, they would compete to get to see who gets to do what. And I got hooked on it.
I think it's about Ultimate Fighter.
Was that? Yeah, that's it. That's it. Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. I started watching that, and that's what sparked my interest in MMA. So I was like, damn, I don't like fights. I think fighting is lame. I don't like seeing people get beat up. I would much rather, especially black folks, I would much rather us just discuss shit if we're upset with each other. We have too many other enemies to be creating enemies out of each other. But there's something about two men who are both willing to walk into a ring, look each other eye to eye, and just duke it out. You know, I don't think that that's a pro-violence thing. Yeah, it's like a pro-machismo thing, sure.
Yeah.
It might be even a toxic masculinity issue. I don't know. But there's just something about it. Like, I was watching MMA fights literally earlier today. And I remember I was dating this girl who was an extreme feminist. And she hated the fact that I started liking MMA. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you watching this? And I'm like, legit, I don't know.
Hold on, what was her reasoning for being opposed to it, though?
Because she just thought that it reinforced this idea of men being this very masculine machismo idea of men being men. And that's not me. Like, you know, I'm a very laid back, regardless of what you see on Dead End Hip Hop.
Yeah.
I'm not aggressive. You know, I don't fight. I have not been in a fight in over 20 years. I don't fight, you know. So she's just like, why are you watching this stuff that reinforces the idea of men being violent? And I'm like, I don't have an answer for you. I just like, bro, I don't have an answer, because at the end of the day, you're correct. I don't have a counterpoint.
No, look, I feel the same way. Like, I'm not the most masculine person. I have on a bonnet right now. I'm like, really not the most masculine person. But just this past weekend, I was bored and I was like, oh, it's a pay-per-view on MMA pay-per-view. I'm gonna watch it. So I'm watching it, and like the toxic masculinity levels flaring up in my body. It was amazing. Like, I was like, beat his ass.
Yes.
It's just something about, I don't know. It's just something about it where it's just like, it's exciting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's exciting to watch, man. It's one of those things where it's just like, whoa, this is like, and the crowd is cheering and they're getting pumped up. You're like, yeah, bring it on. It's like, yes. it's one of those things, man.
So you're there with me.
And something that's in that similar vein, which was my second question, what I was gonna ask were you into, because I feel like I've heard you like sparingly talk about on Dead End Hip Hop. I think you were somewhat into battle rap.
Oh yeah, I'm big into battle rap.
So yeah, that's another thing where they're going into a macho or whatever. Yeah. And have you, like, I don't know, like, have you ever been on YouTube talking about battle rap? Like, have you ever made a battle rap video? Because I don't think I've ever, like, I've heard you mention people like Daylight and certain reviews and things, but I've never really heard you go in detail about it.
Man, no, I love battle rap, and I've always liked battle rap. And the reason is I like punchlines. You know, that's why Big L is one of my favorite rappers of all time. I love punchlines. The reason I've never talked about battle rap is because those guys take shit way too seriously. Like, if I've been tinkering for the longest time about making a show on my channel where I just recap battles and I just tell, like, okay, this bar was really dope. And the reason I don't is because it's too much drama. Reviewing people's albums is dramatic enough. The battle rap scene is 10 times worse. Like,
you think so?
Oh yeah, bro. I think it's 10 times worse. Like, these dudes really be on YouTube reading all of the comments for shit that people say, because I'll see them make videos about comments in the other videos, and
really?
they'll be, oh yeah, like Disaster. He reads comments.
Disaster's unstable. I'm sorry. He's crazy, man. He's crazy.
That dude definitely reads comments. I want to say I saw Real Deal in the comment section one time. And if it wasn't Real Deal, I apologize, but I think it was Real Deal. But I've seen other rappers that are actually in the comment section where people are like, yo, this was definitely a 2-1 for so-and-so. And they'll be like, you're out of your fucking mind. Don't ever come to fucking New York. I'll beat the fuck. And it's like, bro, over some stupid. And I know some people, who I won't say, I know some people within the industry who have literally seen fans get the shit beat out of them because they said that somebody else won. Somebody's
in the battle rap industry?
Yeah. Like if you watch videos, there'll be fights in the audience, and a lot of time it's because you're cheering too hard for this guy, or you're not cheering. And the thing about it is, I'm not trying to paint the whole battle rap scene. This is what I'm talking about right now. Like, I have to preface shit. Like, I'm not trying to paint the entire battle rap scene as this big violent thing, but I just think that those guys are so overly passionate and so overly serious about what they do that I just don't want to be involved, because I'm overly opinionated and I have a big fucking mouth. And I don't want to deal with it. It's just too much.
So who was your favorite battle rappers though?
Oh man, of all time?
Just right now, currently.
Shit. I mean, I still love Charlie Clips, man. I love Charlie Clips. I love Averb. I fuck with John the Don, even though people shit on him a lot. They say he steals lines and stuff.
I
But
definitely shit on John.
Really? John's dope, man.
I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I don't get
John's
it.
dope. I think John is the type of dude. I feel like when you look at him, he's fairly unassuming. But then when he just starts rapping, I just feel like he has that charisma and he just sucks me in. But again, people shit on him a lot. They say he steals lines. I mean, a lot of rappers steal lines. You know, y'all listen to Jay-Z. Jay-Z steals lines all the fucking time. So it's whatever to me. Who else right now, man? I like T-Top. I don't even know if he's still battling anymore. I haven't seen him in a minute. I like Big K a lot. I think he's really, really dope. I like Calico when he's not being overly like personally aggressive. You know, like I feel like he'll definitely like get into a ring and he'll start trying to piss off his opponent by like pushing him and stuff. And I'm not really with all that. But yeah, man, I really, really like battle rap. It's just not, it's not worth me talking about, man. Like I've even said,
go ahead. You think they're that dramaed out?
I just think that they just take shit too seriously. They just get angry very fast. You know?
I didn't even know that.
I've said stuff on Twitter, just light shit, like, yo, who you think won so-and-so battle? I think so-and-so got him 2-1. And I'll even say, like, but I think his rounds were still dope. And I've had the battle rappers be like, yo, shut the fuck up. You know what the fuck you talking about? Dude, really? Man? Like, come on, bro. Like, is that serious? Like, it's really, like, it's just my opinion about your rounds. And I said you were still dope. Yeah. It's not like I got washed. So if it's like that on Twitter, it's not worth it. And I'm old, bro. I'm old. I'm really not trying to go on a vacation one day with a girlfriend to New York and have some dude in fucking Tim's and a FUBU jacket try to rush me because I said that Charlie Clips beat fucking Hollow the Don. It's just like it's not worth it for me.
You know how crazy it would be going to New York? Like, oh, it's gonna be a nice trip. You got like the whole dot mob trying to beat you up. You said Murder Mooka lost.
Bruh, like they were on our podcast, they were talking about the Yes Jules shit with Murder Mook on there. And I was like, I'm not even fucking with this topic. I was like, I'm not even fucking with this topic because I don't want to deal with these dudes. I respect all of them. I don't want to deal with anybody's drama.
I could see Murder Mook like being emotional because when he was defending what he was saying, he was so like perplexed. He was like, "How am I cool? Like, all I just said she was black. She obviously black." I'm like, "What?" Bruh. I could see Murder Mook definitely like coming at your neck if you said something.
And it's not. It's really not worth it. It's not worth it. Like I fuck with Murder Mook. I think he's one of the greats. But I'm not trying to have nobody running after me down the street trying to fuck me up because I said that I think that Loaded Lux is better than Murder Mook or some shit. I don't want to deal with that. I just like sitting in the back, watching the battles, enjoying them, and occasionally just saying, the most you'll see me saying on Twitter is, yo, this battle was crazy. Go watch it. Go check out this battle. And that's
never who won. Never who won.
Occasionally, like I feel like you can tell which rappers won't trip. Like if I say Disaster lost, I feel like he's gonna bug out. If I saw a battle that was like Ilmac versus somebody, or like if I said Ilmac lost to Thesaurus, I can't see Ilmac being like, "Fuck you, bitch."
Ilmac is cool. I've interviewed him. He's a cool guy.
He seems like a cool ass dude. So I can't see him being like that. Or if like Sonny Bamboo was battling somebody, and I was like, "Yo, Sonny lost." I can't see Sonny being like, "Okay, next time I see you in Atlanta, I'm gonna fuck you up." I can't see that. Yeah. I can see him maybe egging me. Like I can see like maybe if I show up to an event and he's there and I'm like, yo, I'm a big fan. He's like, oh, I saw what you said on Twitter. That shit was whack. I'm just not gonna fuck with you. But yeah, I definitely think that the battle rap scene is very, very, very overly serious. And I'm not that type of dude. I like to make jokes. That's the other thing. I don't want to crack a joke because it was like a lot of the shit that they say is very personal. You know this. Yeah. And I don't want to be like, yo, when he said XYZ about dudes dead baby moms or something, I don't want them to be like, yo, I don't like what you said about my baby moms. And it's like, I didn't say it. Your opponent said. I just don't want to deal with that.
Well, hey man, I appreciate your time. For everybody watching, I say what I mean. I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate, players gonna play. Holla at your boy.